Good day, everyone. Um, Today we have some questions here that we are going to solve together. So I want us to look at the questions together. And if you have any question based on what I'm going to be teaching you today, you can drop your questions. Let's look at the first question we have here. The length and width of a rectangle are in the ratio 5 to 3. If the perimeter is 8 centimeter, calculate the length of the diagonal, and 2, the area of the rectangle. And now, you should understand the fact that the question is talking about a rectangle. It's talking about a rectangle. Now, and the length, we have the length here and the breadth here. And when you look at what we have here, now the ratio of the length to the width, which is the breadth, is 5 to 3. So we can say that ratio of L to B is what? 5 to what? To 3. So now the meaning of that is L will be equal to 5x, while B will be equal to 3x. Right? Because this one is going to be a multiple, 5 will be a multiple of a number that is common to 3 and 5. Alright, so that is the value of x. So now in the question, we are given the perimeter to be 8 centimeter. To be 8 centimeter. Let me check, is this supposed to be 8? Alright. So it should be 8 meters. 8 meters and not 8 centimeter. So sorry for that. So it's 80 meters. So now, perimeter of a rectangle is P equals to 2 open bracket L plus B. This is the formula for finding the perimeter of a rectangle. Alright? So we have been given the perimeter to be 80 meters. Now, the length is 5x, and the breadth, which is also the width, is 3x. So you substitute inside this equation. So we have 80 equals to 2 open bracket 5x plus 3x. All right. So now here you can divide both sides by 2. So you divide this by 2 and this by 2. When you divide 80 by 2, you have 40. And that is equals to, when you divide this by 2, so this one go off. So what you'll be having here now is going to be 8x. 5x plus 8x plus 3x, that gives you 8x. Now you divide both sides by the coefficient of x. So we have 40 over 8 equals to 80x over 8. So this will cancel this. So what we have at this side is x, and 8 goes in 40, that's 5. So that means x equals to 5 meters. That's 5 meters. So that's the value of x. So now, of course, we can now get our length and the width. So length now is, length of the rectangle now is going to be 5 times 5 times 5. 5 times 5, x is 5, so 5 times 5. So that will be what? 25 meters. While the breadth now will be what? 3 times 5. X is 5. So, and that will be what? 15 meters. Alright, so we can put it here. So the breadth is 15 meters, while the length is 25 meters. Okay, so now, but what the question wants us to do now is to calculate the length of the diagonal. The length of the diagonal of this rectangle. So this length, this is a diagonal. is a straight line. So we want to get this length. Now, when you look at a rectangle, the angles of rectangle are 90 degrees. All the angles are 90 degrees. So now you can see this is the length. So this place is also what? 25. Because this is the length, this is the length, and this is the breadth and the breadth. So when you look at it now, you'll be able to bring out a triangle ABC. Can you see this triangle ABC now? Okay, so now let's try and get the diagonal now. So from here, you will consider this triangle ABC. ABC. So in triangle ABC, we want to get length AB. So we are going to be making use of Pythagoras theorem. So we have AB squared will be equals to the square of the two sides. So that's BC squared plus AC squared. That is Pythagoras theorem. So let's substitute. AB, which happens to be the diagonal, now it's going to be BC. What is BC? BC is 15. That would be 15 squared plus AC. AC is what? 25 squared. Alright, so we have AB squared equals to, so you square this and also square this. So when you square 15, you have what? 225 plus, when you square this 25 squared, that's 625. Okay, now we had this and this together, so that's going to be 850. When you add this and this together, 850. So you can just do 625 plus 225. When you add 5 plus 5, that's what? That is 10. Is 0, 1. 2 plus 2, 4 plus 1, 5. 6 plus 2, that's 8. That's 850. So AB, length AB will be square root of 850, and AB will now be, because you will be expected to make use of your 4-figure table if you don't have your calculator. So I can express this one as 100 times 8.5. So that is square root of 100 times 8.5. Okay, 100 times 8.5 is the same thing as 850. All right. So now when you find square root of 100, that's 10. Square root of 8.5. So you can just check this in your 4-figure table. Now when you check that in your 4-figure table, I'm doing that now. That is going to give you 2.915. 2.915. So that will be 10 times 2.915. Okay, so when you multiply, so you have 29.15 meters. So that is going to be the diagonal of the rectangle. All right, so now how do we award the marks? Because I need to king this one now. So let us see if this question happen to be the why question. So how will they award the mark? Now the first thing now is that you'll be given mark for getting the length and the breadth of the rectangle. So we have B1 for this and B1 for this. That's 2 marks. Now for applying Pythagoras theorem, there's a method mark, M1. Okay, so now, and for solving, getting the answer to be 29.15 meters. So you have A1. So what's the total mark for Roman figure 1? We have 1, 2, 3, 4, 4. Okay, is that 4? 1, 2, 3, 4. So 4 marks. 4 marks. All right, now let's look at the second part of the question. we have to find the area of the rectangle. The area of the rectangle. So what's the formula for finding area of a rectangle? What is the formula? So area of a rectangle will give you length times breadth. The length times breadth is also the same thing as the length times width. Length times width. So now, and that is going to give you 25 times, the length is 25 and the breadth is 15. So when you multiply it, you have 375 meter square. So the unit is going to be in unit square. All right, so let's look at it. So for substituting inside this formula, there's a method mark, 1. So for getting the answer, we have A1. So now, this question now is a question of 6 marks. So 6 marks is awarded to this question. So now that's the end of the question. Now let us look at another question here. So if you have any question, let me check. If you have any question, let me see if there's any comments here. Okay, this is a question under modular arithmetic. What is the last digit? What is the last digit of 2 raised to the power of 2023 plus 3 raised to the power of 2023? Okay, so that's the question. So now, how do we solve this question? What is the last digit of the addition of these two numbers? Now, I want you to get something straight now. So whenever I want to find the last digit of a number, you see, there's a way you look at it. Now, if I have 5, 4, 7, look at this number. It's very easy for me to know the last digit. The last digit here is 7 rather. Now, another way of getting that is when you divide this number by 10, the remainder is always the last digit. So any number that you have that is greater than 10, so when you divide it by 10, the remainder is always the last digit. Take for instance now, if I say 688, the last digit is 8. When you divide it by 10, the remainder is going to be 8. Okay, so that means that whenever a number is expressed in modulo 10, the answer is always the last digit. So let's have that at the back of our mind. But this question now, because of the form is taken, so let us see how we are going to get the last digits of this one. Okay, so I will start by getting the last digit of this. Now, 2 raised to the power of 2023. Now, if I want to do this, the first thing now is to look at this base. I'll put my attention at the base here. I'm going to look for all the last digit of numbers, that is base that ends with 2. Now let me come again. I want to get the last digit of number which have a base that ends with 2. Okay? So we can have something like this. If I have 6, 1, 4, 2, this is about 3, 4, 1. So this is the kind of last digit that I want to get. Now this a base that ends with 2. Okay, we have several numbers like that the base will end with 2. So I want to get the last digit of such number. So how do we go about that? That's what I want to explain now. So now pick these 2 and we now begin to look for all the last digits of 2 raised to the power of n. All right, so let's start. 2 raised to the power of 1, 2 raised to the power of 1 in mode 10. I earlier told you that when a number is divided by 10, the remainder is always the last digit. Okay, so that's what we want to get here. So mode 10. So the answer is 2. Okay, so if I have 2 raised to the power of 2, 2 raised to the power of 2, okay, so now what's going to be the last digit? The last digit is 4 in mode 10. Now 2 raised to the power of 3, that is going to give us 8. So in mode 10 is still 8. So we have 8. 2 raised to the power of 4, that gives us 16. That one is obvious. The last digit is what? 6. Because even when you divide 16 by 10, the remainder is 6. So, right now let's look at the next one. 2 raised to the power of 5. 2 raised to the power of 5 is 32. The last digit is 2. So, but you can see we have already gotten 2 before. So if we continue with the process, 2 raised to the power of 6, we'll just be having a circle of 2, 4, 8, 6, 2, 4, 8, 6. That's what we're going to be having. So now, these are all possible last digits of numbers whose base has a last digit of 2. Okay, so this is a circle. So we have 2, 4, 8, and 6. So the length of this last digit now is 4. So length is 4. Okay. So now after doing this, the next thing now is to write this. We write this power, or the power here, as modulo of the length of what we have here. So I'm going to write 2023 in modulo of this length, in modulo 4. So that's the next thing we're going to do. So we have 2023 in mode 4. So what is going to be the answer? So all we just need to do is that we divide this one by 4 and we get the remainder. So when you divide 20 by 4, you have what? You have 5. You divide 2 by 4, you have 0. You divide 23 by 4, you have 5. So the remainder is what? 3. The remainder is 3. So that means this 2023 is equals to 3 in mode 4. So that is the remainder. Okay, so now, so the final thing on this now is to count. Now the answer here is 3. So you come here and count 3 digits from the front. We have 1, 2, 3. Now look at it. 1, 2, 3. So this is the third one. So that means the last digit of this now is 8. So last digit of 2 raised to the power of 2003 is what? Is 8. Hope you get that now. Now let's look at the second one. 3 raised to the power of 2023. 3. Now, what I'm going to do now is I'm going to look for the last digit of the number whose base ends with 3, just like we did here. So we start with 3 raised to the power of 1 equals to 3 in mode 10. Okay, so we move to the next one. 3 raised to the power of 2, that is 9. That will be 9 in mode 10. Okay, so the next one, 3 raised to the power of 4, that is going to give you 81. So when you divide 81 by 10, okay, now we are supposed to do 3 before that. So that is 27. So that means we have 7 in mode 10. So the next one is 3 raised to the power of 4. That's 81. So the remainder is 1. So we have 1. Okay. So the next one, 3 raised to the power of 5. So just multiply this by 3. Okay, just multiply 1 by 3. You are going to be having a 3 back. So that means it's still 3. So you'll be having a multiple of 3971. 3971. So it's going to be a circle of 3971. Okay, so this is the possible. These are the possible last digits for a number whose base ends with 3. Okay, so these are the possible last digits. All right, so and the length is 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. So all right, so now the next thing now is to write this power in modulo of the length. Of course, now we have done that before because it's similar. So now the answer is 3. Okay, so you come here and count 3. We have 1, 2, 3. So that means the last digit of this number is 3. So last digits of 3 raised to the power of 2023 is 7. Okay, so the next thing now is to add the last digit together because we have plus here. So you add together. So when you add, so we have 8 plus 7 in mode 10. It's going to be in mode 10. Why is it going to be in mode 10? Because we said that if you want to get the last digit of any number, you divide by what? By 10. So the leftover is the last digit. Okay, so now when you add this and this together, you have 15 mode 10. So when you divide this by 10, the remainder is 5. So therefore, the last digit is 5. So the last digit of this number now is 5. So that's the answer to that question. So how do we award the mark? All right. For getting this circle, we have B1. And then for getting the answer, 3 mode 4, we award A1. And for getting the last digit of 2 raised to the power of 2023, we have A1. So here, for getting this, we have B1. For getting this answer, we have A1. Okay, so and for adding the last digit together in mode 10, M1, it must be in mode 10. And for getting the answer, A1. So the total mark for this question will be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So 7 marks. So 7 marks. Right? So if you need to copy the solution, so I'll give you a few seconds. So we move to the next question. Okay, now let's move to another question under modular arithmetic. Okay. This is evaluate 3 divided by 3 in mode 6. 3 divided by 3 in mode 6. Okay, now let's look at this question. You have to divide 3 by 3 in mode 6. Now, the first thing to do now is to make an assumption by saying let x be equals to 3 divided by 3 in mode 6. Alright, so then we have 3 equals to 3 in mode 6. You know, this is the same thing as x equals to 3 over 3. So when you cross multiply this, we multiply this, we have 3x equals to this times this, we have 3. Okay? And now, before we finish the solution, before we solve this problem, now I want to say this. When you are solving questions that have to do with division in modular arithmetic, you can have more than one solution. You can have more than one solution. So you have to be careful so that you not just solve and get one answer and run away. Okay, you see the way we are going to solve this, because this it seems these have more than one solution. So let's go through it together. All right, so now to get the value of x here, now we have 3x equals to 3. So you divide both sides by 3. So we have x equals to 3 over 3. And that gives you 1. So we have x equals to 1 mod 6. So that's the first part. Now also you have to check. Now you add multiple of this mode to the value we have here and check if this 3 can go in it. If it can go in it, be sure that it's not the answer you have gotten before. If it's the answer you have gotten before, so that means there's no other solution again. So now let me add 1 6 to this. If I add 1 6 to 3, I have 9. And you can see now 3 can go in 9. So that means there should be something there. So I have 3x equals to 6 times 1 plus 3 in mode 6. I have added 1 6 to this thing. It does not change the fact that it's still 3. So the number of moduli that I add to the number here does not change the fact that it's still 3. Okay, so we have 3x equals to, now this and this, 6 times 1 is 6 plus 3. That gives you 9 in mode 6. So you divide both sides by the coefficient of x. So that's 3. So we have x equals to 9 over 3 mod 6. So x equals to 3 mod 6. Now, can you see that? We have another answer different from 1. So that's another solution. So we can also check if we also have another solution. Now look at it now. I've added 1 6 to this, and I can see that 3 go in it. I have another answer which is 3, which is different from 1. So now let me add 2 6 now to 3. If I add 2 6 to 3, 2 6 is 12. 12 is added to 3. That's 15. 3 can go in 15. So that means there's another answer. Also, we have 3x equals to 6 times 2 plus 3 in mod 6. So we have 3x equals to, so this and this is 12. 12 plus 3, that's 15 mod 6. Okay, so here, what do? You divide both sides by the coefficient of x. That's 3. We have x equals to 15 over 3 mod 6. And the x will give you what? 5. 5 mod 6. So this is another answer. So, can we check? Maybe we are still going to have another answer. And I'm not sure we are going to have. Now, let's add 3 6. 3 6 will give us what? That's 18. When you add 18 to 3, what are you going to have? You have 21. So 3 can go in 21. That gives you 7. So that means we're having x equals to 7. So x equals to 7 in mod 6. You cannot leave your answer like this. So you divide this 7 by 6. The remainder is going to be 1. So that means x is 1. And of course, now we have gotten 1 before. So that means there's no other solution. So we have 3 solutions for this question. We have 1, 3, and what? And 5. Okay, so that is the answer to that problem. So now, how do we award mark? And the first thing is for dividing both sides now by 3 here, we have M1. For getting the answer A1. Now here, for getting to this level, because I've added multiple of the modulo to this, we have M1. And for getting the answer, we have A1. The same thing here. We have added 2 6, which is valid. So we have M1. And for getting the answer, we have A1. All right, so how many marks altogether? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So we have 6 marks. 6 marks all together. All right, so we can go through it before we move to the next question. Go through the question, the solution before we move to the next question. Okay, let's look at some other questions. I want to pick a wire question. So this question is going to be helpful for those people that want to write NECO. It's going to be helpful. Now let's look at this question under log reading. So given that log of 2 equals to 0.3010 and log 3 is equals to 0.4712. Okay. Calculate without using tables. Log 5 log 0.9. Okay, so that is the question. So how do we solve this type of problem? Now you are given that log of 2 is 0.3010 and the log of 3 is 0.47712. You have to calculate without using tables the value of log 5. So log 5. Now when you are given this type of problem, you are expected to express this 5 in terms of what is given, in terms of 2 or 3 or 10 or 100 or 1000, because we know that log of 10, that one is straightforward. Log of 10 is 1, log of 100 is 2, log of 1000 is 3. So you can express this 5 in terms of this, or you express in terms of 2 and 3. So now that's what we want to do now. So now let's look at it. How do we express log of 5 in terms of this? So log of 5 is the same thing as log of 10 over 2, because when you divide 10 by 2 you have 5. So I'm just trying to make sure that my result here has 2, what I have here, and 10. So because there is no 5 is not given, so I must not write in terms of 5. So now I will be applying law of log reading here. When dividing, you subtract. So let me write the law. When you have log of n over m, is going to be log of n minus, let me write it well, log of m over n will be log of m minus log of n. Okay, this is the law we are going to be applying here. So look at it now. We have log of 10 over 2 will give us log of 10 minus log of 2. Okay, so now you have log of 10 is 1. Log of 10 is 1. So you have 1 minus. So you have been given log of 2 in the question. That is 0.3010. So when you subtract, so what are you going to have? 1 minus 0.3010. So your result is going to be 0.6990. So that's going to be the answer to this question. All right. So now, if you are going to award mark to this question, this first part, for expressing this 5 as expressing as 10/2, there's a method mark M1. For applying law of logarithm to get here, we have M1. For substituting correctly, you substitute what is given in the question, we have M1. And for getting the answer, we have A1. So the total marks is going to be 4 for the first part of the question. Now let's look at the second part. Log of 0.9. Don't forget, I must express this in terms of 10 or 2 and 3. So now this is going to give me log of 9/10. So can you see that? So 9/10. So I know I can get 3 from 9. So this will now give log of 9 minus log of 10. Okay, so I already know this one is 1. So I need to work on this. So log of 9 is the same thing as log of 3 raised to the power of 2. 9 is the same thing as 3 raised to the power of 2. So this is log of 3 raised to the power of 2 minus log of 10. So now these 2 comes to this side. We are applying law of logarithm. So we have 2 log of 3 minus log of 10 is 1. Okay, so from here you can now we substitute the value of log 3. That is 0.477. You can see that before I claim it. 0.47712. So let's substitute. We have 2 times 0.47712. So this is given. So you substitute minus 1. Okay, so and that's what you have. So from there you multiply. You use 2 to multiply 47712. Okay, so if you do that, you'll be having 0.95424 minus 1. Okay, so now this is minus 1. So your answer now is going to be 1.95424. So that is going to be the answer. Of course, now you know this minus 1. Minus 1 is the same thing as bar 1. So you add it to this integer here. Alright, so we have bar 1 point this. Okay, so that is going to be the answer to that problem. So now how do we award? Now for this, you have expressed 0.9 in fraction. There's a method mark. For applying the law of logarithm here, for splitting it, we have another method mark. And therefore substituting correctly, another method mark. And for getting the correct answer, we have E1. So we have 1, 2, 3, 4. So that is 4 marks. 4 marks. So I want to believe you've learned 1 or 2 things. Okay, so let's take one more before we end the class. Let's take one more. Okay. So this one is going to be under indices. We have 2 raised to the power of x raised to the power of 2 minus 3 times 2 raised to the power of x plus 2 equals to 0. Okay, so now we have to solve for x in this question. Now, look at this question. Now, when you look at the characteristic of this question, you see we have something special here. We have 2 raised to the power of x here. We have 2 raised to the power of x here. All right, so now what I'm going to do now, I will make an assumption by saying let p be equals to 2 raised to the power of x, so that this equation now turns to p raised to the power of 2. You know, this is p, so I will turn this to p. 2 raised to the power of x now has turned to p, so this 2 is this, so minus 3 times this is p. Okay, so it's going to be 3 times p plus 2 equals to 0. All right, so that means we have p squared minus 3p plus 2 equals to 0. Look at what we have here. This is a quadratic equation. So what we just need to do to this is just to solve. So we can use any method to solve this quadratic equation. But we are going to be using factorization method now to solve this. Now we look for the sum and product. Sum and product. Now the sum of this equation is minus 3. Sum is minus 3. And the product is 1 times 2, that's 2. So now, what are we going to do with this? You look for two numbers such that when you multiply them together, you have plus 2. And then when you add the numbers together, you have minus 3. So what are the numbers? What are the numbers? In a minute, I want you to give me the numbers. What are the numbers? What are the numbers? The numbers that when you multiply together, you have 2. When you multiply together, you have 2. When you add together, you have minus 3. Okay? So have you gotten any answer? I'm not seeing any response. Okay. So now the two numbers. So I want to believe you must have done that. So the two numbers are minus 1 and minus 2. Look at it, minus 1 and minus 2. If I had minus 1 and minus 2 together, I will have minus 3. If I multiply this and this, multiply minus 1 by minus 2, you have plus 2. Okay, so this middle minus 3 now, p, minus 3p, we turn to minus 1p minus 2p. You get that now? Okay, so because when you add this together now, it will give you this. So that's the only thing that is changing in this equation. So plus 2 equals to 0. Okay, so now you take you factor out p here. Look at these two terms we have here. The common factor here is p. So we factor out p. This divided by p, we have p. Divide this by p, we have minus 1. Now look at this. What is common? Minus 2 is common. When you divide this by minus 2, what do you have? You have p. Divide this by minus 2, you have minus 1 equals to 0. So in most cases, when you are doing the right thing, what you have inside the brackets will always be the same thing in most cases. So now, you factor out what we have in the brackets. So p minus 1. We have p minus 1. So we are left with this and this. So we have p minus 2 equals to 0. So you can see here now, two numbers are multiplying each other and the result is 0. So that means it's either this is 0 or this is 0, or both are 0. So we have p
minus 1 equals to 0, or P minus 2 equals to 0. So P equals to 1 or P equals to what? 2. When you move this here, the sign changes. Or you move 1 to this side, the sign changes as well. So, and don't forget, our P is 2 raised to the power of x. So we have 2 raised to the power of x equals to 1 is the same thing as 2 raised to the power of 0. So we have 2 raised to the power of 0, or this is 2 raised to the power of x equals to 2 raised to the power of 1. 2 is the same thing as 2 raised to the power of 1. Now here you can see the base are the same thing, so you equate the powers. So we have x equals to 0, or x equals to 1. You equate the powers. So these are the answers. So now, how do we award mark? So now, for getting this quadratic equation, there will be a block mark. Now, for simplifying down to this level, there's a method mark. For getting to this level, a method mark. For getting these answers, we have A1, A1. So we have 2 marks there. And for getting the values of x, we have A1, A1. So what's the total mark? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So it's a 7 marks question. All right. So that's the end of the class. I want to believe you have learned 1 or 2 things in today's class. So there's going to be another class tomorrow. So I want you to friends and your loved one, tell them about the class. So I want you to join the class. So if you have not subscribed to this channel, please try and subscribe, and also share this video with your friends. You can also join me on my YouTube page. So just type mathematics with Mr. Olukorede. So you see my videos. I have done a lot of videos on the quadratic equation. So if you don't understand how we did all this, so we have enough videos that is going to be beneficial for you. So you can always check. And if you have any comments, if you have any area you want me to treat, so let me know via the comment section. So thanks. Bye bye.